What is different about her? My W and I have been married 11 years. I'm 45, she's 41. We have 2 beautiful twin daughters, age 9. We both got married later in life, which should be a good thing, right? We should know what we want and have established ourselves, more mature and all that jazz. We've had trouble since the beginning, personality conflicts being the main issue. Lots of arguments. We are polar opposites when it comes to personalities, and neither one of us had the skills to argue effectively to find any solutions. We did MC about a year before having the girls, and things seemed to improve for a while. Then the girls were born 7 weeks premature and our lives were turned upside down. Don't get me wrong, they were very healthy but did spend 23 days in NICU, and then when they finally came home, we both had our work cut out for us. With 2 babies and 2 parents, neither one of us ever got a break. It was very stressful and tiring, but we managed through it. Then I went off track when the girls were about 3 years old. I wasn't happy with my life. Wife stayed home with the kids, not working. I was the sole wage earner. Financial difficulties. And lots of daily stress caring for 2 toddlers at one time. I started drinking to relieve the tension, and I became addicted to booze. Drank every day and night for 3 years. This was the catalyst for our eventual downfall. Well, as you can imagine, the W didn't take all the drinking and neglect very well. She even complained about it many times, but I was in the addiction phase and didn't care. I just needed my daily fix of booze. She finally tired off all this and withdrew from the marriage, much like I had withdrew into myself with the booze. About 3 years ago, during this vulnerable time, she was contacted by an old boyfriend who was having marital problems of his own. His wife was a drunk and wanted to renew the friendship. Timing is everything. She latched onto that very quickly. You can see where this is going, I'm sure. They had everything in common regarding their marriage crisis. He fulfilled a much-needed void in her life emotionally. Within 2 weeks they were having an EA via email, which I stumbled upon one night after work. That was April 15th. I stopped drinking that very day and have been sober since. That email I found was my wake-up call. Too late, of course. And I decided if I wanted to save my marriage, I must get help right away. I've done IC, MC, anger management, and group therapy. Still in IC to this day. I take medication for depression and anxiety. I've made significant changes and improvements in my life, which my W has recognized and acknowledges. I've taken responsibility for my abhorrent behavior and apologized many times. However, she has not been able to do the same even with IC and some MC. Over the past 3 years, she has continued the EA off and on. I've caught her rekindling the affair many times while lying her ass off to me and the MC about it. She took it underground several times with secret email accounts, secret texting, secret cell phones, etc. Each time I was able to find out and confront her. She exhibits remorse, cries, begs me not to do anything rash, and promises never to do it again, only to revert back to her old ways. Last week I again found a lengthy email from her to him, which unfortunately confirmed several suspicions I've had but could never prove. Turns out she did have a PA at least once with the OM and wants to do it again. He recently divorced his drunkard wife, got his own place, and has custody of his kids. So, he's readily available to carry on with this affair. Last week was the last straw for me. I now realize she's never going to change and I need to get on with my life. And therein lies the problem. I want, desperately need, a separation, but we simply cannot afford to do it. I told her this and she just says we can't do it financially. I've run the numbers and it's just not possible, so she's right. She does work full-time now but only makes $11 an hour. I'm the primary wage earner. And now with school out, we have a $3,000 babysitting expense for the summer. I feel trapped. My head is spinning. I'm consumed with the latest setback. I can't concentrate. I can't think straight. Having memory problems. Haven't done any real work at my job since finding her email. Yesterday I felt like I was on the verge of a panic attack. She says she won't try to stop me from leaving, but we first need to get our financial house in order. She wants me to stay for 6 months so we can pay down some debt and she can post out of her current job and get a better paying one. I don't think I can make it another 6 months. The pain, tension, and bitterness are overwhelming. How can I possibly do this any longer? Very sorry for the long story, but wanted to get it all out there. My questions are: 1. Since I have to stay in the same house, I don't feel I can effectively do the 180. To keep the household running, I can't simply back off and not do anything. Most things like cleaning, shopping, banking, and activities are intertwined with the kids' well-being. Should I just suck it up, bury my emotions, and somehow muddle through the next 6 months? 2. When it comes time and I can actually move out, what do I need to do, if anything, to protect myself? I've seen posts that say don't leave till you see a lawyer. Something about abandonment. How can she say I abandoned her if I earn 80% of our income and still support her and the girls? I also see posts where it appears the couple just splits on a friendly basis without any legal arrangements being made. She's only been playing me along for the financial security. I don't like being played, lied to, and deceived constantly. It's very demeaning and generates a lot of bitterness. Yes, save myself. That's how I'm feeling. Like if I don't do something now, my very being is going to vanish. I feel like a defeated man. She keeps the pressure on by telling me what my leaving will do to our girls. We will experience financial collapse, which I tend to believe, and destroy their lives. It's vitally important to her not to leave onto our girls that anything is wrong and to keep them in a stable home they are happy in. The guilt of leaving in general is very overwhelming. Our girls, they've already experienced some bad arguments and behaviors on both our parts. They ask some scary questions about mommy and daddy's love for each other and our family unit sometimes. They have friends in school with only one parent and the idea is both foreign and frightening to them. An update: I managed to get her to talk with me last night about separation planning. It was only 30 minutes, but at least she was fairly calm about it. Her biggest concern seems to be financial. She didn't express any emotion or feelings about the fact that our marriage is ending. Oh well, she keeps saying she can't support herself and our girls on $11 an hour. I keep telling her I'm not leaving her with only her paycheck, but I still need to support the household my kids are living in, which in turn means supporting her to some extent. The worst thing is we just don't make enough money to support 2 households at the moment. Hence my feelings of being trapped. I have a solution for that, but she's reluctant to agree. I have a classic car that I've had since before meeting the W. It's my last and only remaining hobby, as work and raising children has replaced all else. Mostly it sits in the garage because I don't have time or money to work on it. I propose selling the car to give us the money needed to cover the extra expenses. It would get us by for 2 to 3 years. Hopefully by then she's making more money. Anyway, the car is titled in both our names and I cannot sell it without her consent because we both must sign over the title to any new owner. And she's been refusing to do so, saying the car is too important to me and selling it will make me feel bad. It has sentimental value, etc. She's more worried about how I feel about a stupid car than the fact our relationship and very way of life is coming to an end. It just blows my mind. Last night was the first time she seemed to be opening up to the idea of selling. I told her to give it some serious consideration. Yeah, I like the car and all, but peace of mind, emotional stability and getting on with my life are more important to me. I can always buy another car, someday hopefully. Couple months later, I've been staying put mainly for our girls' sake to make this summer as stable and fun for them as possible. Since I cannot make any changes right now due to our temporary financial situation, childcare expenses, I decided to make use of this time to try and crack the barrier that my wife has put up against. True, I know it's a long shot, but what the hell? At least I can leave knowing that I did everything possible to turn this around, and that makes me feel better about myself. She is unable or unwilling to acknowledge, take ownership, be honest, or offer transparency about the affair. So, I've been mentoring her by providing numerous articles found on the web and this site about affairs, how they happen, the emotional effects felt by the cheater, the impact on the DS and family, remorse, reconciliation, etc. She has read all of them and told me so. She even said they were informative and gave her new perspective on the situation. By the way, with her new full-time job and home responsibilities, she is really busy, which leaves little time for contacting the OM. I have not been monitoring communications, so I really don't know if they text or call, but I think he's once again broken contact with her and the fog has lifted, which may allow some of what I'm doing to sink in. I also have been stepping up my game, being more attentive, affectionate, initiating bonding more often, taking care of the household tasks and making dinner since she works later than I do, running the kids around everywhere to their activities. Planned our family vacation this year. I want her to see how good life really is with us. I know major doormat situation. I should be doing 180 and distancing myself. That will come soon enough this fall if she doesn't come around. Until then I'm going to keep trying to save this marriage. I gave her some time to absorb the material, things I've been doing to see what she would do. Unfortunately, nothing happened. There are efforts from her. She's nice and all. We've been getting along fine. No arguments or fights. Just day-to-day living. So, first week of July, I sat down with her to talk about the lack of R on her part. Laid it out exactly what I need from her for true R. Told her time is ticking away. Told her she should be trying harder to see her. I see is booked till Sept, but you can call in daily looking for cancellations. She took it all in but not much response to my talk. So, I continue with my efforts. I set up a date night, dinner and a movie. We had a good time, almost like when we were dating before getting married. We went on our family vacation to Myrtle Beach and had a wonderful time. Had a good time too. Now here we are beginning of August and still no our efforts from her. In fact, she just did something that makes me uneasy. Her cell phone has been acting up. She drops it all the time and it's a few years old. So, the day after we get back from vacation, she goes and gets a new phone. Doesn't tell me but does use our joint account to pay for it, so that's how I found out. She could easily have used her personal credit card but didn't. It's been 4 days now and she hasn't showed me her new phone or said anything about it. What the hell again? No transparency. So, I'm about to confront her one last time about her lack of effort to our probably not worth the effort, but like I said, Might as well keep the pressure on while I'm stuck here. Here is the script I'm going to use. Take a read and let me know if I should change if anything. Here we are another month later after I talked with you the beginning of July and still nothing from you. It would be nice if you had the maturity and guts to resolve the issue of your affair. But I guess that's not going to happen. So far there still has not been any acknowledgement, remorse, ownership, honesty, or transparency forthcoming from you. All you do is rug sweep the issue and behave nicely toward me. That is not enough. Yes, in the past I too have fallen short of meeting my responsibility as a loving husband. I did not honor my vows as I should have. But unlike you, when confronted with losing my wife and family, I took the initiative to seek out help, make changes within myself, take responsibility for what I did to you and apologize for it. From all appearances and your lack of action, it seems that you are willing to give up your life as you've known it. And a pretty good one at that. It is very sad and depressing to know you can throw it all away. I would like to know why. Is it pride or ego? Why can't you come clean and resolve this elephant in the room? What is holding you back? Maybe you're done with me but simply can't say it. I just don't know. You should start thinking about divorce and how we will separate things like the house, equity, debts and such. Also, think about the girls and what is best for them with regard to custody. And not just what you want or feels good to you. What I mean by that is an equality of time shared with both of us, not skewed to one parent or the other. They love us both very much and deserve equal time with each of us. Time is running out fast. The summer is almost over and the added childcare expense will be going away. This will change our financial dynamic and allow for the necessary changes to take place. Changes I don't want but feel is necessary due to the circumstances. I will not tolerate any further rug sweeping of what you have done to me and our family. Staying in a marriage without trust, being a doormat, being played is not healthy and does not set a good example. I must do what is right for me and set an appropriate example for our girls as to what is acceptable in a marriage and relationship. Doing so will allow them to reflect on what happened between us later in their lives and see how it was eventually resolved in a healthy way. I do love you very much and want to reconcile. It's all in your hands now. You must do the heavy lifting from here on out. I pray you're up to the task. I didn't have an opportunity to go through my script outlined above in red text with her yet, but she did come to me this weekend and asked me what I expected from her after giving her the literature about affair, true R and such. I told her I hoped she would read them and gain some understanding of herself and the effects of the on us both, and what true R really looks like when it's implemented properly, and that I haven't seen any efforts on her part yet and it was really bothering me as time is running out. Fall is coming. She told me that I'm trying to stipulate how she should feel and act, that she understands the mistakes she's made. She didn't say affair, just that she made mistakes. She says I'm never satisfied with how she does things, that it's never good enough for me. She said this in reference to I asked her to restart. It's been months since her last session. She continues to state that Sept is the first available appointment. I reiterated she can call any day, even every day, to get cancellation appointments. No response to this. From there she tells me she's upset that I criticized her IC a few weeks ago. I responded that I wasn't trying to criticize IC, but that I had concerns that the A wasn't being addressed at all and therefore she didn't come to grips with the A and what it was doing to me and our family. She didn't say whether it was discussed but proceeded to tell me there were a lot of other issues going on in her life at the time. Several deaths within her family, close relatives, and she was working through those problems. She also says that she feels there is a mental block of some kind in her mind that is preventing her from moving forward. She hopes MC and IC will help her break through that wall. I do too. We haven't had a MC session in a year. Our next MC session is this week. I will have to see if she can open up any more with some mediation from the therapist. One question: if I provide literature and verbally outline what I need for true R, is that being to be controlling? For example, remorse should be part of true R, and when I state I haven't seen any display of remorse, she says I'm trying to tell her how to feel. Also, when I press her about doing more to get an IC appointment, she says I'm never satisfied with her efforts, that her making the first available appointment wasn't good enough. I'm really trying to offer gentle direction and guidance with regards to what she needs to do. I don't harp on it. I don't get verbally abusive, just calmly point out where she could improve in certain areas. What do you all think? It was not my intention to make her feel flawed, broken and in need of fixing, but I can see your point if I step back a little. I think she really doesn't know what to do to fix what she has done. She doesn't have the mental or emotional tools to reconcile, some of which is born from her past and how she grew up. In her family, big issues were simply gotten over and never really resolved. You were just supposed to forget about it and move on. Of course, that doesn't address the underlying problem, and the anger and resentment just linger waiting to burst out later over something else. Regarding telling her what I need for R, I did this back in early June. Looking back through my posts, I see I didn't mention this. Anyway, I told her I need 6 things to R and allow me to heal emotionally. Take ownership for the affair. Honesty about what happened. Be transparent going forward. NC forever. Attend MC and restart IC. I think that's pretty clear. So far, she's agreed to MC this week and scheduled her own IC session. Although was months out at the time due to therapist's huge workload. I've been dealing with this crap for 3 years and I guess my patience is wearing thin. She doesn't appear concerned that unless she steps up and does the heavy lifting. I'm going to file for D this fall. I feel like I've been doing all the lifting all these years trying to save our marriage. The guy. On one hand, I can see where perhaps I should acknowledge her full plate with work, kids and all, and that might make her feel less defensive over my concerns about what she's putting into our, but damn it. I'm tired of pulling the cart for this marriage. I want her to pull it for a while. Right now, I'm just not satisfied with her minimal efforts, and that makes it hard to offer any kudos. The past week I've been feeling depressed and angry about all this. Her lack of acceptable effort just sets me off sometimes. I want to tell her, wake up woman, the house is burning down around you and all you do is throw a glass of water on it. Update, last night we had our first MC session in 1.5 years. I was a wreck all day leading up to it. Lots of anxiety about what I was going to say and how to say it. Worrying whether she would say anything or be able to open up at all. Well, it went okay. Nothing spectacular. I would describe the session as tepid. But then again, I've been trying for 3.5 years to resolve this nightmare, and I'm definitely impatient now. When we went into the therapist's office, I asked my W if she wanted to start or had anything on her mind to say. She declined, which made me feel sad. I was hoping for a revelation or epiphany from her. Things did improve later in the session, but more on that later. I started off explaining where things had stood when we last saw the therapist and what had transpired over the last 1 year. I told her that our relationship appeared to be getting better. My trust was slowly rebuilding, but then bam, I found the lengthy email letter in May and once again my W stabbed me in the back. I told her that I was getting ready to D and move out, but financial issues prevented that, so I'm staying through the summer mainly for my kids' sake and would be delaying separation until the fall. She then turned to my W and asked her what happened. Things were going well last time I saw you guys. You had committed to the marriage and NC. What is going on with you and this To which my W stated, for the first time ever I had an affair. I made a huge mistake. I will never be able to apologize enough for what I've done. She became emotional and choked up somewhat. From there the therapist proceeded to question her about the affair, timeline, her reasons for breaking NC over and over. They went back and forth for 20 minutes about it. I just listened. What I took from my W's responses is that she's still not clear on why the continued even after I got help for my issues and improved myself and after MC had made improvements. She cannot explain the draw of the She alluded to him filling some unmet need emotionally. She knows it's wrong but can't help herself when he's available. She does acknowledge all the improvements I've made over the years and what a great family and life we have together. This is something she really needs to work on, and I see, and the MC told her so. I told my W that I still love her and still want to but at the same time, I've come to the point in our relationship and due to the damage done by the that I'm ready to let her go if necessary. I also said I'm concerned my W isn't up to the task of and meeting my needs for I explained in detail what I need to heal, regain trust, and rebuild our relationship. The MC asked my W if she understood and could work on those things. My W stated that she is trying, but she feels it's never good enough for me. I can see how she feels that way given the feedback she got from me throughout this summer. But from my perspective, she's not fulfilling my requirements up to now. Hopefully with mediation from the MC, we can work on that to my satisfaction going forward. I am relieved she finally admitted to having it, and she talked about how much she's hurt me and doesn't want to hurt me anymore. She did display some emotion and a few tears, although I'm not feeling the love, so to speak. I could sense she was very uncomfortable when talking about the I thought her expression and body language was a little weak and distant. This gives me concern. Either she's telling me what I want to hear or it's just this mental block she talks about that needs to be opened up to get things flowing. Next MC is in 2 weeks and her first renewed IC session is soon after. I pray this gets things moving in the right direction and we find some kind of resolution to this horrific chapter in our lives. Last week in our MC session, the therapist asked my W when the last time was. She had contact with the my W hemmed and hawed and both the therapist and I knew she didn't want to admit she had recent contact. Anyway, she said it was a while ago and wasn't really sure. It was left at that and we moved on to other things. So yesterday I sent my W an email requesting improved transparency. I asked her to reactivate her online cell phone account listing to prove to me she was following NC. I told her that I cannot blindly trust what she says anymore since my trust has been totally destroyed by her cheating and lies. I told her by doing this it would help to slowly rebuild that lost trust. Well, I hit a nerve because she texted me later to say, "We need to talk when you get home." I thought, oh boy, here we go. She's going to either tell me she's done with our marriage or spill some more information. Later in the evening, when we had a chance to sit down and talk, she starts by telling me she can't do this anymore. She can't continue the lies and living 2 separate lives. one with me and other with OM. She says she can't even keep all the lies straight anymore because there are too many to keep track of. She told me she needs to give our marriage a fair chance at succeeding, and the only way to do that is to cut him off and concentrate on us. No crap. She said she still has a lot of pain from years ago when I used to mistreat and belittle her. From when I used to tell her she meant nothing to me and I was just staying for the kids. Pain from me telling her that she disgusted me. I did and said a lot of terrible things for which I am truly sorry. I've apologized many times for this poor behavior. I reminded her that time in my life was very dark. I was lost, acting immature, acting out in anger, unable to cope with the stress of twin newborns, and was out of control with my drinking. But I also pointed out that I've made significant changes the last 3.5 years and no longer behave in that way anymore. My actions show my long-term commitment to improve myself and our relationship. Anyway, I'm starting to see some small cracks in her armor. She seems to be really looking inside herself for the first time in years and doesn't like what she's become. She says she doesn't want to deceive or lie to me anymore. She says she can see the pain and anguish in my eyes when I talk about how badly she's hurt me with her betrayal. Hopefully this is the beginning of her opening her mind and heart to figure out what she really wants and to work on improving herself. God, I pray it's so, because I'm wore out from this roller coaster of a life. It needs to finally change and in a positive direction for once. I haven't been feeling right about the past week, even with the MC and her appearing to open up a bit. My gut has been churning, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was. You see, my W told me she wanted to start a new tradition with our daughters by going on an overnight shopping trip to buy new school clothes to 2 huge malls. Sort of make it a girls' mom event. I went along with it because on the surface it sounded reasonable. And what could happen? I mean, she had our 2 9-year-old with her, right? Well, some bits and pieces of info started coming in which set off my gut alert full blast. First, my girls told me they stayed in a fancy room. They had their own bedroom and mommy had hers with a living room, kitchen between them. I'm thinking, what the hell? Why do you need a huge, expensive RM to stay overnight? Red flag 1. I checked the room price and it was $200. I asked my wife how much the room was and how did she pay for it since we were low on money. She angrily says, it was only about $100 with my discount. Red flag 2. So, I checked one of me W's texts and sure enough she sent this on Friday. What time are you coming over tomorrow night? Meaning the night she and my kids would be at the hotel. That just pushed me right to the edge. Red flag 3. Now my head is spinning wildly. I asked my kids what she was wearing when they went to bed and she had on the usual crappy t-shirt. But when I checked her suitcase upon returning home, there were her fancy pink silk pajamas that she never wears. Red flag 4. Okay, by now I'm about to come unglued. I'm thinking, what happened? Did she sneak him up after the kids fell asleep? How did he get into the secured hotel after hours? Etc. This is now late Sunday and I've got all this suspicion building like a tsunami inside me. Monday, as I mentioned in a recent post, I sent her the text asking for cell phone record access and she almost immediately wants to talk with me tonight. So, we talked as I outlined in that post, but I left out a piece of this puzzle. She tells me out of the blue, she intentionally picked a hotel farther away from the malls because she didn't want to be near the OM or have to think about him much. Red flag 5. Well, I never asked about where the hotel was or why it was farther from the mall when there are closer, cheaper ones. Now for the clincher. My gut is screaming at me. I'm looking for that last piece to tie this all together and finally, bam, it falls in my lap. I'm not going to say how, but I caught a phone conversation between my W and a friend of hers on Tuesday. They were talking about her friend's failed relationship with her ex-boyfriend and another friend with benefits, and my W just starts talking about said night at the hotel. How it was the first time they've spent together, overnight, in 15 years. How wonderful it was. How deeply she has fallen for him. How they had a good time. All this while my 2 kids are sleeping in the next room. This last part just happened early this morning. I'm trying to listen to the rest of the conversation but my head is spinning. I'm shaking. My heart is racing. My W goes on to say how the next day she sends him an email on a secret email account and he has some other woman's picture, who's married but whatever, posted with I love you all over it. My W is pissed. She complains to him. He ignores her as usual. She says to her friend that he just keeps doing this to her, that she's never the one in his life. She's crying about it over the phone. She says when he wants her, he knows how to reach her. I don't even recognize this person as my W. It hits me and hits hard. I'm about to come unglued. So, I go into the kitchen, get a tall glass of ice cold water and enter our bedroom. She's sound asleep. I splash the cold water all over her head. She screams and sits up looking around and sees me seething. She keeps saying, what is it? Very bad thoughts are racing through my mind. I'm barely holding it together. I yell at her, what did you do? What happened Saturday at the hotel? She says what? I tell her I saw the text invitation. She starts to lie. Yes, I sent it, but he didn't show at another engagement. Yeah, right. I scream at her. Bull crap. He was there and with our 2 girls right in the other room. You have just sealed your fate. Your life is now over with me. By now I'm losing control and realize I have to leave. I grab my clothes, wallet and keys. She doesn't follow me. Soon as I get in the car, she texts all worried I might crash. I'm thinking, yeah, now you're worried. But not while sleeping with him and our kids are right there with you. I mean, Jesus, what kind of person can do that? She must really be messed up to even think it, let alone plan it, then do it. So far only one call from her at lunch today asking about my daughter's guitar lesson. I told her I would take care of it like I have been doing. I didn't say any more, just hung on the line. Long silence, she says nothing. Then after about 2 minutes she says, well, guess that's it, bye. So here I go. I called my doctor to get tested for STDs. I called and had 3 appointments with lawyers this week to see what I need to do next. I'm really beyond pissed about what happened this weekend. Not sure if I can do anything to force her out of the house. I do have some evidence, but not sure if can be used to have her removed. Not even sure that is the best course of action. She can be vindictive when pushed to her limits and the kids are a trigger for her. Even if I could get a restraining order or child protective order, that would really set the stage for a huge battle. I have no intent of preventing her from seeing the kids. Overall, she's a good mother. I know that will get flamed, just a terrible, misguided wife. Okay, I'm done ranting. Just needed to get this out. Can't see my IC till tomorrow night, so needed somewhere to vent. Wish me luck with the divorce. I also visited 2 attorneys. Both pretty much told me the same thing. I'm screwed. I'm very depressed about this. She's going to get half of everything as a prize for sleeping with another guy. She brought nothing to the marriage except $8,000 in debt and a few pieces of furniture. Now she gets half the equity in the house and half my retirement. What a crock. I will either have to take out a huge loan to buy her half of the house back or resell it. Great time to do that. And totally disrupt our kids' lives. Everything they've known and lived through is in this house. Get this, while I'm between lawyer appointments, my W texts me saying she knows it's way too late. But she's truly sorry for hurting me. Oh my God, I could just punch something. Then she texts to ask if the door is permanently closed. To which I respond, are you kidding me? After you included our 2 children in your crap. Yes. To which she responds she would never let anything happen to them. While doing meds and having a good time. I mean, come on. How can a mother even say that? Man, she's looking more and more whacked out mentally. She's not even able to reason properly and keeps telling me my drinking started all this. Typical blame shifting. She's 100% accountable for the affair. I did contribute 50% of the hurt before that, but I cleaned up my act 3.5 years ago and been sober since. I'm just sick to my stomach with all this. Just wish it could be over. I see another attorney tomorrow and then try to digest all this over the weekend. Because next week, I need to file and get this started. The numbers are spinning me into the ground. Too many options. Too many trade-offs that can be done to swap money back and forth until both parties have equitable distribution. All I can remember at the moment is the shared marital value of my 401k is almost equal to the equity in our house. So yes, I could give up the house and keep the retirement account. I think that would be the better return long run. I don't need to have a huge house, not that ours is to start with, to live in. I can deal with having an apartment or small house until I could rebound enough to buy again. I'm not too picky. God, yes, I think about cheaper to keep her. Maybe too much. I can't wrap my mind around how I could continue to live in a loveless marriage. Roommate condition while knowing she's out screwing someone else. And we don't have enough bedrooms to split up. I can't stay in the same bed with her for years to come. That scenario would be emotional torture. Do I still love her? Well, yes, on some level. But I can't wrap my brain around what she just did this weekend. She used our girls as an excuse to get a hotel suite so they could spend the night together while my kids were asleep in the next room. That right there just tore me up inside. All the anger and resentment I have about the long term that I thought I could work through in MC. If she really committed herself. All that just rose to the surface and it feels locked in place, like it's glued there and is never going to dissipate. My comment, she did show very poor judgment with her actions. Sounds like you have to focus on yourself and get some space from it all. See you guys in part 2.